I want to bring you this. This is really pretty fascinating. You got to listen carefully. It is a Project Veritas undercover reporter interviewing Matthew Rosenberg, a journalist for the New York Slimes. They catch it all on video, and you're going to see what they really think of January 6th. They don't think it's some great insurrection, because it wasn't. And yet that's the ideology, that's the position they push day in and day out, every damn one of them. Let's take a look. Go.
It's like January 6th stuff that is like so over at this point. It's so over. The left's overreaction, the left's reaction to it in some places was so over the top. It was like me and two other colleagues who were there, who were outside. And we were just having fun. Dude, come on. Like, you were not in any danger.
Matthew Rosenberg is a Pulitzer Prize-winning national security correspondent for the New York Times. In multiple meetings with one of our undercover journalists, Rosenberg reveals a lot about the inner workings and inner turmoil at the Times. For starters, he doesn't hesitate to undermine his own paper's coverage of the events that took place in our nation's capital on January 6, 2021, and chides corporate media's reaction, or in his own words, overreaction.
Like, you could tell how much fun we had on January 6th.
Oh, that's great. Are you allowed to have that much fun on January 6th? Or just supposed to be mourning?
I know. So if you're traumatized. But like, all these colleagues who were in the building, a little younger, who's like, oh my God, it's so scary. I'm like, oh, God.
Is that really the vibe there?
From them. I'm like, come on. Like, it's not the kind of place I can say tell somebody to man up, but I kind of want to. You're like, dude, come on. Like, you were not in any danger.
Got in Zola, got in Adam, Goldman, someone should be in the cover. A bunch of photographers. Then there were people inside the Capitol.
Yeah, who was inside?
Little dweebs who keep going on about their trauma. I'm like, guys, shut the enough. I guess it was scarier.
Did they write about it? Oh God, please tell me who so I can read.
I don't know if they wrote about their trauma. This chick named Emily Cochran and this guy named Nick Fandos. They were both like in their 20s.
Nick Fandos?
Fandos. They covered, Nick doesn't anymore, they covered Congress. So they're congressional reporters.
The story I got sucked into doing was like, I do investigative stuff. I usually do like longer term things. But I got back to work on Monday, and the managing editor had a great idea that he could have had a month ago, which was like, we should really, me and a colleague had done like a very long 7,000 word story last year in February about like kind of the big lie about the Stop the Steal campaign, which was a very organized campaign. It wasn't like an organic thing. He's like, can we do like part 2 of that, like what's going on in the years from January 6th, kind of like memory holing it, like making it, it's no big deal. Yeah, we can do that. It's a little quick turnaround, so we've been doing the last few days. That's the story. But it's in a meeting, I'm like, one of the issues here is that, like, the Fox News of the world, elsewhere, is that the left's overreaction, the left's reaction to it in some places was so over the top that it gave the opening the right needed to start introducing the idea of, well, these people are out of control. Like, it's not a big deal as they're making it, because they were making too big a deal. They were making this an organized thing that it wasn't. And that gave the opening for the lunatics on the right to be like, oh, well, nothing happened here. It was just a peaceful bunch of tourists, And it's like, but nobody wants to hear that.
Not as big of a deal as the media made it out to be? Well, that hasn't stopped Rosenberg from publishing his Part 2 article earlier this year describing the false narratives that circulate around January 6th in the events that unfolded.
We're the ones, not Fox, not Breitbart, who actually went and uncovered the fact that, like, there were a ton of FBI informants on the people who attacked the Capitol.
Whoa. Wow. We're the ones who uncovered a bunch of There were a ton of FBI informants among the people who attacked the Capitol. We're the ones. Think they'll subpoena this journalist, the January 6th committee, to get to the bottom of all this? Not a chance. This is breaking news. This is a big deal, because what Matthew Rosenberg, Pulitzer, what is it called? Prize, award-winning journalist, is exposing is that his entire profession is filled with phonies, including those at the New York Times. I hope you're listening to this. This is very important. Go ahead.
That was us, not the right one. you need the sources from within to dig into those places.
Right.
You need the sources from within to dig into those places. But it's especially hard for the CIA and the state. Because like, if you work there, you get polygraphed every year, and you're asked if you spoke to an informer. Your answer is everything but no. You're in deep trouble. You're often talking to former people who are talking to people who are still there.
Got it. Okay, say that again.
You're also talking to people who are recently left, who are still talking to people on the inside. So the people on the inside cannot talk.
So you talk to people who got arrested, their families, or their
There's
neighbors.
just neighbors and stuff. Families usually don't want to talk for good reason.
Have you guys talked to anybody who's actually been arrested?
Yeah, although most of them, their lawyers have told them not to talk to us. Like
Why?
if you're facing serious criminal charges, you probably laughing you should just talk to a journalist. Unless there's like a very specific reason that you need, like, that some good can come of it, like, there's no way you should talk to me. No good's gonna come of it.
Why not?
Because anything you say can end up in court, and you just don't want to be at risk. I wouldn't.
Rosenberg is right. What good can come from speaking to a journalist who privately describes the events on January 6th as not a big deal, yet spins something entirely different for the world to read in his newspaper? Project Veritas has received letters from those incarcerated for being present that day. Voices that remain unheard describe a total lack of due process, spurred by the reactions, or in Rosenberg's words, overreaction, of how those events were portrayed around the world by the media and politicians.
That is so compelling, so fascinating from an observing perspective, but substantively, it's so outrageous. You have a big-time reporter for the New York Times. He's cracking jokes about the people he has to write this with, that they're basically young punks, traumatized, and he's laughing at it because he knows, you want to see trauma? Go over to Ukraine right now. Go to these other places. See what traumatizing really means. This wasn't traumatizing. And the way that he talks about how the left has overplayed its hand, and so forth and so on. I mean, this is what they know, this is what they believe, but then they go on camera and they lie to you because they're pushing this agenda. So, again, a hat tip to Project Veritas. If you can support them, they do need your support. They're so effective, you can see that they unleash the FBI and others against them. But James O'Keefe and his team are actually absolutely terrific.
Want to see more Mark Levin? Go to levintv.com and subscribe now.